wealth through long-term investing. I am so excited to have you and Jesse here. He will be educating us about how can we buy stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds. And so we are going to get started now. Yes, I do stutter. So if you hear me stumble upon a word, everybody breathe. It's going to be okay. So the last thing, if you have a question for Jesse later on, you can email him at askjesse at financialjoyschool.com. That's ASKJESSE at financialjoyschool.com. So let's get into it. Jesse, I have a couple of questions for you. I want you to just introduce yourself. Let us know who you are. Um, how did you get started investing? And what do you do for a living? All of that great stuff. We want to know about you and your net worth. So let's go, please.
All right, so I'm gonna begin this presentation. I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna get this underway.
Before you start, sorry, Jesse, before you
Mhm.
start, there may be words that like you do not know. That is fine. We are all learning. We are all growing. If you have a question, put it in the chat and we will answer it. And so I wanted to say that, and like at the end we will have a poll for you to complete. So let's go, Jesse.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so this is a little bit about my story. So me, like Natalie said, born and raised in the Bronx. I'm a United States veteran. I served 4 years honorably in the United States Air Force. Shout out to all my veterans for the past Veterans Day. Currently, I work in law enforcement for the MTA Police in New York City. I've been married for 6 years, and currently my net worth is over 300,000. So my financial goals, right? I plan to retire in 13 years or less. I say 13 years or less, but 13 years, that will take me to when I can be eligible to retire from the MTA Police. And then with each investment I do, I consider it, I'm buying back my time, right? Because time is your most valuable asset. I'm gonna say that many times throughout this presentation, time is the most valuable asset. We only get a finite amount of it, right? So I wanna reach a net worth of 1 million plus, and then I plan to live off my pension as well as my pension be supplemented by my brokerage account while my Roth IRA continues to grow until age 60, ultimately to create generational wealth for me and my family.
Thank you so much. And Jesse is only 34 years old. I have to say that because for him to just amass over $300,000 investing is simply black excellence. And so my next question is, can you sum up what is investing before
Sure,
we get into the meat of this presentation?
sure. So I'll begin with my journey, right? And everybody has one. This is mine. So how I got started, I knew somewhat about investing from my father via his 401k from his job. And then my uncle Daryl took it further, right? My uncle Daryl told me, as you see on your screen, this mutual fund that you see before you by T. Rowe Price. He told me before I enlisted in the United States Air Force, that was 8 years prior, and I wasn't ready, right? Everybody has a time period when they're ready to start. At that time, I wasn't ready, but I remember what stock ticker it was, and it was TRBCX, which I never purchased. And as you see on the graph, it grew to this day 315%, right? So every time that I think about what I could have did, right, I look back at the mutual fund that he told me, and I'm like, wow, that's the power of long-term investing, right? So now, when did I start? I started in July 2015, right? Uh, Ruby Taylor, that's my cousin, she was getting on me. She was like, you need to get started. You need to get started. So she told me about this mutual fund, right? It's VGHCX. It's through Vanguard, right? And I purchased it in July 2015. But I learned from that two people can purchase the same type of mutual fund, but at one point, she could have purchased it at a certain price, and I could have purchased at a certain price. So what happened with me? I just purchased at the high. So within 3 months, I sold it. I sold it for a loss, right? And it's not a loss. I want to state that. It was a lesson in learning that you have to know what you're getting involved with. And at that time, I didn't know. It wasn't that my cousin Ruby didn't tell me, no, it's not incumbent on my cousin Ruby. I'm making an investment. I'm putting the dollars there. So I took that lesson and I sat back, and that's when I began to learn more. So then 3 months later, after I sold it, I began to learn more about investing. I learned more by purchasing the book, The Intelligent Investor, as you see on your screen. And from there, it led me to Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett always talk about the S&P 500, the S&P 500, S&P 500. So I'm like, what is this S&P 500 he always talking about? So I did my research on it, and I found that you can purchase it through Vanguard. So that's what I did. I purchased VFINX, and which I still hold to this day. And it has grew 137%. And that's the power of long-term investing. And that's how my journey began. It began with my Uncle Daryl, to my cousin Ruby, and to me doing my own investment due diligence.
And I would like to say, if you would have stayed in that mutual fund, you would be fine today. True or false?
Yeah, of course. But I had to learn.
Yes. So
I had to learn.
like I had to just say that was a good mutual fund. It still is. So like I had to just add that small piece of information, right? It's about the long game. We are not here to make money fast. We are here to build generational wealth, and that takes time. So, if my beloved cousin, who is my brother, he's not even a cousin, he's my little brother, would have stayed in it, that money would have grown. And so, with that said, I want to say that I can pick a good stock and good mutual funds for the long term. uh, so now that we said that, how can you buy a stock, right? How do you even start that process? Now we know what like investing is, which is to use your money to buy assets, correct? Right?
Correct.
Investing is using your money to buy assets. Assets can be real estate, it can be art, it can be basketball cards, it can be sneakers, and it can be stocks. And so today we are focusing in on stocks. And so, Jesse, how do we buy a stock? Educate us, please.
Sure. So I'm gonna start with, how do you get started, right? How do you get started? Before you, I put many different brokerage firms, right? You have Vanguard, you have E-Trade, you have T. Rowe Price, you have Wells Fargo, you have Chase, you have Fidelity, right? So the first thing you would do, choose a brokerage. One of these that I placed before you, or even ones that you can Google, find out about. Then you want to open the account, right? Then after opening an account, you want to determine what type of account you will want to open, whether it's personal or an IRA, known as individual retirement account, right? Then you want to enter your personal information, right? Then link your bank. Then after your bank is confirmed, you put the transfer the money from your bank to your money market. Then from your money market, when you've done all your due diligence, you know what you want to buy, you use the money from your money market and make that purchase of a stock, a mutual fund, or a ETF, right? And then that's how you get started.
Thank you so much. Can you just elaborate on like the accounts and personal and the retirement, a Roth versus a tra- traditional? Can you
Sure,
like explain what the differences are between those?
sure. So a personal, right, is money added after tax. So when you withdraw, it will be taxed at the capital gains rate. Withdrawals under a year will be taxed at the short-term capital gains rate. Withdrawals over a year will be taxed at long-term capital gains rate. Then you have the retirement accounts. You got a Roth IRA. IRA stands for individual retirement account, right? That's money added after tax, and withdrawals after 59 and a half are excluded from federal taxes, but exclusion from state tax depends on the state that you reside in. In addition, the money withdrawn before 59 and a half will receive a 10% penalty. So the point is to leave it until you get to 59 and a half. Then you have a traditional IRA. Money is added before taxes. Withdrawals after 59 and a half will be taxed at your income tax bracket. So normally people would use a traditional IRA, right? And add money before taxes. And then when they retire, hopefully they'll be at a lower tax bracket. So then both contributions have limits, right? Every year. So if you're under 50, it's 6,000 a year. If you over 50, it's 7,000 a year. And then with the personal account, the money that you can add to it is unlimited. There's no maximum.
Thank you so much. I have a question, right?
Mhm.
Now, Jesse just broke down how you can get started. Does anyone have any questions before we go go forward? Any questions? You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hand and Natalie will allow you to ask your question. I do have one
Mhm.
question. So you said $6,000, right?
Mhm.
What does that mean? So like I can only put in 6,000 a year?
So if it's an IRA account, you can only put in 6,000 a year if you're under 50. If you over 50, you can put in 7,000 a year. Correct.
So,
Okay, we have a
yeah.
sorry, go ahead,
No,
Natalie.
that's okay. Just we have a question from
Mhm.
Draquante wants to know what are
Mhm.
good investment apps to use? And I love that question because I'm a newbie to this as well. So what are some
Uh-huh.
thoughts?
He's jumping ahead. I was going to answer that. I'm gonna get to it. I'm pretty sure. So we can jump ahead a little bit. So good investment apps. It would just depend, right? So you have apps that are friendlier than others. So like a lot of people know about Robinhood. Robinhood is definitely friendly. You also have E-Trade. E-Trade is user friendly. So I would say Robinhood and E-Trade, those are user friendly apps as well as I will stand by N1 Finance and Fidelity. Those are user friendly.
And I would add this app if you like social, right? It's called Public, right? Public have that Facebook type of vibe to basically help you invest. So like that's another great app if you want to have like a dialogue, right? Go to Public. But if you just want to just buy AM stock, listen to Jesse. All right. And so what's our next step?
Well, we have a raised hand. I don't know, Ruby and Jesse, if you want to take that question before you move
Let's
on.
go.
Elizabeth had a
Sure.
question. Elizabeth, you can come off mute if you'd like to ask your question.
Yes, being all right, since I'm 53, I'm older. I want to get a stock. Is it going to take long? Like I'm older, so how I'm trying to see if since I'm older and want to buy a stock, what is it going to take? Because being that I'm older, I should have done it like you, Jesse. You're 30, what, 34?
Um,
That would have been nice, but
listen,
this,
no,
okay,
I would say this. You just to get started. I
okay.
listen. There's other people that's doing better things than I am, right? Just to get started. Anything you can do to get started, whatever the amount is. It's not about a specific amount. It's just to get started. Now you're asking what should you buy?
That and being like I said, I'm older. Is it worth it? Like I'm older. It's not like by the time I get 60, then what?
No,
Because I hear a
listen.
lot. I heard about stocks, but I never got invested, in one. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I really didn't do any homework on it.
Listen, it's
So, like I'm saying, now that I'm older,
uh,
is it really worth? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to is it worth me getting it now and having much money saved later, or I don't know how long would it take me saving money being I'm older.
I would say it's definitely worth it, right? Because Warren Buffett got one of the greatest quotes. He said, "Compound interest is like the eighth wonder of the world," right? That compound interest, regardless of when you get started, you can't beat that. And it's not about your age, right? Everybody start different times. I told you about my experience with my uncle Daryl. Imagine if I
Right.
would have got started when he told me, I would have had more. But the point is,
Wow.
I got started. It's always the saying is the greatest day to have started and invested was yesterday. The second best day is today. It's just to get
Okay.
started. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome. It's never too late. Do we have time, Jesse, for one more question before you go on? Because I have another hand raised.
Sure. Let's
All right,
go. That's
Jesse
what I'm
said,
here
let's
for.
do it. Yolanda, go ahead and put yourself off of mute so you can ask your question.
Hi, Jesse. This is
How you
also your
doing?
cousin Yolanda from Florida. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Great. Talking about this real quick to make it started, I am also trying to build generational wealth. I don't have any children or anything like that, but I am still building wealth for my community and my family. However, and I was just about to type that in, even when starting out with at the age of 50 or 55 to getting started, I know that you can put into these accounts, they allow you to play catch up where
Mm-hmm.
you can put more money in when you at a certain over the age of 50. Because I
Correct.
heard him asking the question, like, being older and putting in his accounts. So I know you can put in this year, they allow you to do 2,800, I'm sorry, 2,800 starting this year, starting 2022. But if you over the age of 50, they're allowing you to play catch up. So I think you're unlimited of how much you can put in when you're playing catch up when you're over the age of 50. And so I did hear a lot about the 50 S&P 50 index, because I'm also starting to taking my exam to pay. I'm going to be doing Prime America, selling life insurance. And
Okay.
so we do a lot of Vanguard and learning how to invest your money, things of that sort. So I am trying to get into this stock and bonds and mutual funds to make better financial decisions for myself, even though I'm healthy at this point. But you never know when that time comes when you're not. And even though you can pull out money, I think at 65, that does not mean you have to. You just have to do it, I think, before you're 70, but you can still invest until you're 80, 90. I mean, whatever the case may be. It'll pay for your death and burial and leave money for your family. It's not just for those ages. I think people have the misconception, if you could expound on that so that people can understand, it's not just when you take out money at 65 or without penalties, or 70 when you can start spending those monies. But it's just so that you can do other things up until the age you die. I mean, it's other things you can do with the money.
Correct.
Am I correct?
I totally agree with you, Yolanda. I totally agree. For me, like I told the young lady, just to get started, right? It's not about age. It's not a race. We're not racing against each other. We all in this together, right?
Right.
When we talk about generational wealth, this is not talking about, oh, I want to just put money in to take it 10 years later. No, this is talking about holding it forever. This holding it forever. So if I have a child, I don't have no kids. Nah, I don't want to use it for myself. I want my kids to use it. Then I want their kids to use it. This is generational wealth. So you're absolutely right. This is not saying, oh, you have to only do this for a certain time. No, this is talking about you're doing this for the long time, 10, 20. The goal is forever. But for me, what I say to people is that for the long term, at least give it a minimum of 5 years. But the goal is forever. Hold whatever you invest in, that's quality forever. So I totally agree with you. We on the same page. I'm not gonna disagree with you.
Right. A lot of our Black communities don't understand generational wealth because we don't know what that is. And they're thinking that if we just get into this money till we're 65, and then we get 65, we take it out and spend it all before we die. And that's really not the goal there. I mean, that can be a goal. That's great. So you can have money to, live your life that you never had before you die, pass on. But you also want to live as generations of wealth. You pass it on to call long-term money, generations. So that money is out there building interest that you'll never see or never touch, nor will your families beyond you, and so forth and so on. So you have to think beyond yourself, and not just when you turn 65, but when your children turn 65, like you're saying, and so forth and so on. If we can change people's mindset that this is just for me, this is actually starting generational wealth for those that coming behind you.
Correct. And I love that you
And
said.
I want to say this.
Go ahead, Ruby.
Sorry, Jesse. Go right ahead.
I was going to say that Yolanda hit it right on the head. I always talk about when you begin investing, is the mindset. When I first started, and I did something, I do my research, I didn't have the mindset. But when I did my due diligence, that's when I got the mindset. And then when I started to see my money grow, right, that changed the mindset because it do something to you, right? Because when you first begin investing, you're gonna look at your account every day. But when you flip it and the mindset is long term, you're not worrying about what the stock market did today or 2 days from now. No, you're talking about years. So you don't even care what it's doing. It's long term. And then, like I said, if you invest in quality, like Yolanda said, the S&P 500, which I'll stand by, you'll be forever golden. Your family be forever golden. This is generational wealth. So I actually absolutely agree with you. And mindset is an important part of building generational wealth.
Yes, and generational wealth, it doesn't matter whether or not you personally have children. It's about family. So like whoever is your family, that's who will benefit. And so like I want to say that like major point, but we are going to give away a like amazing prize right now. Natalie's gonna come on here and like pick a winner who will win 1 year membership to the Motley Fool. The Motley Fool is an amazing corporation who, guess what, helps you pick stocks. So like you don't have to do the work. They basically do the work for you, which is so super duper dope. So Natalie, can you like pick a winner for us
Sure.
and bring up that wheel, please?
I sure will. And while I'm doing that, we also have some additional questions. Oh, I'm gonna share my screen, Jesse, so it's gonna take yours off, but then once we get back to it, then you'll go up. But we do have some additional questions in the chat. So let's see about this Motley Fool.
No, we're going to spin that wheel again. Please, please spin it again.
Why?
Please spin the wheel again. That is
All
just
right.
crazy. Wonderful. The winner is super. We will be contacting you on how you will be able to get that prize. Before we get into the other questions, Jesse, I want you to be able to like finish. So then after that, we will like come back to these questions and what is it more questions.
I have a feeling
All
Jesse's
right.
going to answer one of them as he's talking, but yeah, we'll go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. Give us three actions we can take today to buy a stock. Un- Unmute your.
So 3 actions you can take, right, to open your account, to start to invest. I would say to start with the indexes, right? The indexes is they track the performance of companies. So the index, when I talk about the index, I'm talking about what you normally hear, the SP 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the NASDAQ, right? So with those, companies have already did the work for you by doing the research. So that's like a cheat code, right? So when you're looking at those indexes, you can see what are the top companies that comprise of the index, right? So then when you're looking at the top companies of the index, you can say, you know what? It may be an Apple, it may be a Microsoft. There's a reason why those companies are in the top positions in the index. They did the research. They're basically telling you that these are quality companies. So I would say look at the index. Then I would say no, also ETFs, exchange traded funds, right? Exchange traded funds, the difference between that and the mutual funds, that exchange traded funds don't have minimums, investment minimums. Mutual funds have investment minimums. So you can start with exchange traded funds. You can do the same thing. What are the top ETFs, right? Or exchange traded funds, and which stocks comprise of those? So you can say, you know what? I know there's a reason why these companies are in the top of this ETF, and you may look at the top 5, the top 2, and you can feel confident because those companies that are in the top, they are in the top because they are in the top for a reason. So I would say start with the indexes, find out what companies are in the top 10, top 5 of an index or an ETF. And then know the institutional insider ownership, right? When I say institutions are your brokerage accounts, like I said, Vanguard, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, right? And then know the inside ownership of the stock, of who own the stocks. So when I say insider ownership, that's like your chief executive officers, your chief operating officers. Find out how many shares they own of the companies that they're in charge of, right? Because if they own shares in their company, then that means that they believe in the company that they're working for. So that's another cheat code, I would say.
Thank you so much. And we are about to wrap this thing up. We have 30 more minutes and I want to respect everyone's time. And so what is your number one tip for a new investor?
I would say for new investors, um, start with the S&P 500 and know the companies in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is made up of a bunch of companies. It's going to have Microsoft, it's going to have Apple, it's going to have Visa. Start there. So start with the index. Specifically start with the S&P 500.
Okay, if it's somebody who is like advanced, right? They have been investing for like a while. What is your number one tip for them?
I would say for advanced investors, when you want to know what quality companies there are, I would say to do this, like look at a chart and look at the 5-year, 1 month time frame chart and see, is it in the up momentum or is it in a down momentum? If it's going downward on the 5-year, 1 month time frame, I say don't worry about it. Don't you if it's going up in the 5-year, 1 month and it's in an uptrend, that means it's quality. So I would say for that.
What
for
does that look
advancement,
like?
all right, I'm gonna show you. I'm glad
Show
you
us what
asked me
that
the
looks
question.
like.
All right. So
Now, Jesse is going to help us learn one of the easiest ways for you to what is it? Read a financial chart. And so this is the easiest way to read it. And
okay.
use this some tip. It will help you. Hit it, Jesse.
All right. Can you see? Can you see the chart?
Yep.
We can hit.
Okay. All right. All right. So right now I got Apple. A lot of people know about Apple. So this is the 5-year chart.
Before you do them that, sorry, where did you go? Let them
Sure.
know. How did you even get there? So they will like
Mhm.
know how, right?
Okay.
And so just go, just do step 1, step.
Okay. So step 1, go to Yahoo Finance, right? I'm gonna walk you through it. I come back in. Look up Yahoo Finance. Click on the hyperlink. All right. Now we're gonna look at Apple. Apple stock ticker, AAPL. Click on it. Then you scroll down and you want to go to chart. From the chart, it's going to populate. And then what you want to do is you want to make this a 5-year chart, the time range. So hit 5Y. Then you want to make this a 1 month. Right? So if everybody can see, Apple has an upward trajectory. This is quality. You will not lose sleep on Apple. You will not. I'm for all disclosures, I'm an investor in Apple. I don't lose sleep. Even as you see these dips, I never lost sleep, right? Because the long work over 5 years is upward trajectory, right? So I would say you can use this as an advanced investor. Any company that you're thinking about, just type the name in, like I did with Apple. You type it, go to 5 years, and go to the 1 month, and look to see, is it an upward momentum or downward momentum?
All right, check out one of my stocks. And then like we want you to like tell us a stock you want us to like look at. I want him to, Jesse, check out Sundell Growth. Let's
Okay.
look at that.
All right. So that stock ticket is SNDL, right? All right.
So Jesse, while you're doing that, and I think this would be helpful as you're showing us this, one of the questions, yeah, so we're doing all of this, right?
Yep.
But when we start investing, like let's say Apple or Sundown, like how much should someone start off with? That was one of the questions. I think this is a great way to kind of segue into showing what you're doing, and then also how do we get started?
All right. So I'm gonna answer your question, the question that you have, Natalie. First, I'm gonna finish this chart with Ruby, and I'm definitely gonna answer it. I definitely remember that's a good question. How much to start with? So Ruby, as I look at this chart, 5 years, 1 month, right? It's in a downward momentum. Now, that's not to say that this couldn't rebound, right? So if a person wanted more exposure, or they wanted more growth, or they wanted to buy more shares, maybe I wouldn't put majority of my money in this because this is in a downward momentum, but it can reverse So maybe I will put just a little bit of my money in it, just have a little bit exposure, but most of my money would not be in this. If I was investing monthly, most of my money wouldn't be in it. But that's not to say it can't rebound.
All right. Does anybody have a stock they want to pick? And then I want us to go to Reginald Brown question about beneficiaries. All right. And so we have Tesla. So let's look at Tesla.
Okay. Tesla been on the run.
But like, can you like answer that question about the money, about how much a person should have stopped? Because I love your philosophy on this.
Okay.
It's an amazing philosophy. And so please, please, please share.
Sure. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the investment calculator that Financial Joy School offers. So I would say we in the business of creating generational wealth, right? So I would say, what is generational wealth to that person, right? So with this wonderful calculator that Financial Joy School has, I would say, let's say a person wanted to ascertain 100,000. So I'll put 100,000 in this calculator. How much you going to start with, right? Say, I'm just going to say $150. At a 9.2% return, right? You can say this is generational wealth. Let's push this out, right? 15 years. All right. How long would it take me? So then I'll hit calculate. And then to reach $100,000, starting with $150, you will need to contribute $257.99 for 15 years every month. So I would say utilize this calculator that Financial Joy School has. So, right. So I will go to financialjoyschool.com, right? Hit an investment calculator and put in your numbers that you want to reach, right? You can put in whatever numbers you guys can play with this. If it's 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is, put that number and then put the number you will start with, put the amount of years and put the return rate and hit calculate. And this would do the work for you. And it'll tell you what you need to do. I hope that answers your question.
But can you please share what you say about just don't put enough in, put in all you can
So
into the
Okay,
market.
I got one quick question. Looking at that calculation you just did, you said starting with 150, but you need to contribute 259. So how do you start at 150, but you contributed at 257?
So this is what you would start with. So say you started, you just to begin, you just started with $150. Then to reach your $100,000, right? You would need to contribute $257.99 every month in order to reach 100,000.
So that means I will need to open up a plan at 150, but somewhere along that month, I need to add until it comes to 257. So 150 starting means that's how I opened it up. But I need to continue to add to 257 to get to 100,000.
Correct.
Okay, at the 9.2 interest rate.
Correct.
So that if the interest rate goes up, I can contribute less.
Correct. Absolutely. And you can play with this calculator. Look, 13.6, 28.2%, 32.78%.
Yeah, and your S&P gives you the higher percentage value. That's why you work with the S&Ps. If you don't do the S&Ps, just so you know, they have lower interest rates. That's why your banks doesn't give you much, because they only give you like 2% on your money. You'll never get any generational wealth using your banks. That's why they don't give you much. You know, even if they contribute your money, they only gonna give you 2% on your own money. They will take the 4% extra that they earned on your money for themselves, just so people know that.
Correct.
I have a question.
Okay, Jesse,
I have a question about the return rate. How do you know the return rate? Like on each company, does each company give you a different return rate, or it's just something that you set up for yourself?
So the return rate, you can't predict that. It may go up and down, may fluctuate. This is just, when they say return rate, this is just an average of what it could do over 15 years. Does that make sense? So sometimes it could be high, it could be higher than 9.2%, it could be lower. This is just like the average. Does that make sense?
And so like every single company is going to have a different return rate. Some will be higher, others lower. And what is it? It's going to fluctuate day by day, month by month, year by year. And so Tamisha made a Reginald, we are going to get to Reginald questions. He has been asking several. But like before that, I want to answer Tamisha's question, because she was like, shouldn't you buy low? Yes. You always want to buy low. With that chart, Jesse was like showing, it's like what types of stocks should you buy. If the like trajectory for like a 5-year period is like going down, that stock, it could be a question mark. If it is going up, that's what you want to see. But like you can like invest in like stocks that's called a speculative stock, right? Because like we don't know what's going to happen. It may go sky high. You may lose every single thing. So like those like types of stocks are like speculative, and so you want to be careful with those. You want to more be focused in on value stocks, and like a little bit of growth. And like all of this information we are giving, it is just for information purpose, right? It's just to educate you. You have to do your own research. And so, Jesse, can you please go back to Reginald's question about like beneficiaries for like investments, right? That is so important. And like, thank you, Reginald, for that, for that amazing question, because we are all about generational wealth. So like, can you explain how that can occur?
Sure. So once you set up your account, like we did prior in the previous slides, there's an option that you can set up. Even if you call your brokerage, whether you deal with Vanguard, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, Wells Fargo, whoever you decide to buy your stocks with, or mutual funds or ETFs with, you can ask them, you can set up this, you can do it online, or you can call and you can say, I want to set up my beneficiaries. Whoever you want to make your beneficiaries for your accounts, you can. So it's a simple process. You just ask them, all right, I want to set up, say if you're married, if your spouse, your child, you can make them a beneficiary of your account. God forbid something were to happen to you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, and part of that question too is just talking about the importance of also updating your beneficiaries.
Correct. And also too, the last question, Ruby, in regards to you don't want to buy at the high. That's listen, she hit the nail on the head, but you also know how you don't buy at the high. You buy every month, dollar cost average, right? Because nobody can tell you what's the top. What is the top today is going to be the low tomorrow. What is the low tomorrow? It's going to be, it fluctuates. Stocks fluctuate. But if you buy every month, what is called dollar cost average, you buy the same amount every month, the average price is going to average out.
We have a person who, unfortunately, their name is just iPhone. They've had their hand raised for a while. So who's ever iPhone, I hope it's safe. If you want to answer your question, ask your question.
I think it's me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, how are you? My name is Michael Vasquez. I'm enjoying your Zoom meeting so far. I really appreciate all the information that you're giving us. I just have two questions. One, you already answered it.
Okay.
Basically, you talked about us trying to research fundamental of a company before we start buying stocks, but I realized that you use Yahoo Finance to research the stocks and get all the info you need. So I appreciate that. The other question I have is, we're not always going to have a Jesse Berkoh with us on call whenever we need information. So do you recommend any books that we can read to further educate ourselves on financial literacy and how to invest?
Oh yeah, of course, Mike. Shout out to Mike, man. He works with me. Yeah, Mike. So the books I stand by, like I said, when I was learning, is The Intelligent Investor. The Intelligent Investor, I will say, it's a heavy read. I had to read it multiple times, right? But it's a good book. But to make it for an everyday person, this book I would definitely stand by. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. I'm gonna say it again. Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, right? The reason why I stand by that book, because as we talked about, Yolanda stated, it deals with mindset. It also deals with investing every month, right? And it also gives you many different examples of everyday people just like me. So I would say Money Master the Game is one, and I'll stand by the book. So everybody, Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. I'll stand by
Money
that.
Masters the Game.
Money Master the Game.
All right, Jesse. This is Al, by the way.
All right. Thank you, Al, for that question. We are going to do a quick poll. After that, we are going to give away one more Motley Fool membership, which costs $199. You will be getting it free. Then after that, Jesse is going to close it out, and then we will have Q&A. And so, Natalie, can you get up the poll? It's only 3 questions. Only 3 questions, and it is easy to answer. And then after that, we're going to pick another winner, and then Jesse's going to close us out.
All right, the poll
Please
has been
answer
launched.
those questions.
Answer these in the chat.
Oh, you can answer them on your computer. There should be an option for you to select an answer.
Right on the poll. We're going to give you one more minute, and then Natalie's going to pick another winner.
Thank you.
Okay, let's pick a winner.
All right, I'm gonna end the poll, so hopefully enough people have had a chance. We had about 61% response, so that's pretty good. So I'm gonna end the poll and
Wait, one more minute. This is a free seminar to basically help us out to make this better. We need you to just answer this poll really quick.
I already
so
shut
if
it
we
down.
can get like a couple of
I closed it, Ruby.
Okay, you already shut it down.
Yeah.
Okay, next time. All right, so let's give out this prize. Thank you, Natalie, for just taking away my glory.
There's some other
Okay,
questions, and we have
let's
8
go.
minutes left, so I want to make sure Jesse can answer those
Now we
last
get to
few
those
questions
questions.
we have. Dr. Clint.
It went out.
All right, Dr. Clint, you are contacting you.
All right, are you doing another one
Okay.
or no?
Nope, only Only two. Super.
Okay.
And I'm Dr. Clint. You are the winner. I will be contacting you. Jesse, can you finish us out and then go right into the Q&A?
Sure.
But like before you do that, Jesse is going to close us out. Next week, next Saturday, we will have Cody Barbo. He will be talking about wills and trust. How do you keep your family wealth in your family? So please join us at financialjoyschool.com. Register, and we will be sending you that amazing seminar free. And so, Jesse, close us out. Let's go.
All right. So I'm about to share my screen again. So I would say, as Mike said, what resources you can use: Financial Joy School, Yahoo Finance for charts, CNBC, books, The Intelligent Investor, as I said before, Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, and also this book, Your Money or Your Life, right? This book also deals with the mindset, because it talks about when people say, you know, I may not have the money. For me, how I was able to do what I did was I sat down and I looked at the things, were they adding value or taking value, right? So most of us, we all work a job, and we all work a certain amount of time on a job, right? So when you go to buy something, think about how many hours it takes for you to buy that product, and think about, is it making you happy, right? If it's not making you happy, maybe use that money that you were going to use for that product and put it into the stock market. And it also, so this book helped me with my mindset of, some things are not important, but my life is, right? And I like my time, and I want to get my freedom. So Your Money in Your Life by Vicki Robbins is also a good book. And then next, remember, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you learn, the more you earn. Remember that. The more you learn, the more you earn. And I stand by that. And I thank you guys for everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you have a question, put it in the chat. Natalie, can we answer some of these questions?
Sure.
And you can also raise your hand and we will have you speak up.
So there is one question that says, let's say that Amazon stock is at 3,000. Do I have to have that amount, or can I purchase it for like 200?
Oh, so now the game has been leveled with the stock market. The game is very different. You can do fractional shares now. You don't have to buy a whole share. It just depends on what brokerage, but yeah, you can buy fractional shares. You don't have to buy the whole share no more. So you could buy a fraction of Amazon until you get to a whole share. So you could buy fractional shares.
Awesome, thank you. Patty has her hand up if she'd like to come off of mute and ask her question.
Okay.
Or did you have another question, Patty?
Me?
Yeah, your hand was still raised. I wasn't sure if you had
Yes,
another question.
yes.
Okay.
I did. I actually wanted to ask him. I started investing around 3 months ago. I actually got the Marriott Edge. I started with Marriott Edge. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I do having the question with liquidity. Science. I kind of like search for it, the meaning, which means like give me an example. If you own a car and whatever is like yours is what equity means, but then I don't see how I can get this money out for me to be able to invest it again. I don't know if you get the question that I have.
So
like I know it's what I'm getting, but I just don't know how to get it out to be able to reproduce it.
So you're saying you bought something and now you want to sell to buy something else?
No, I have been buying and selling. For example, Apple. I bought it at the lowest 130 something, and then I sold it. I sold it at the 160. But then them $30 that I got there, it went to equity. That's what the app told me. So, but then I didn't see the way to be able to like the money once it's back to me. I don't know how I can like, it's asking me to put more cash from my account. So I was wondering if, yeah, now you get it. How you can use the money that I already have there, that I already got.
Got you. So you say you bought Apple at 130 something, and then you sold it, and then were you trying to buy something else that same day, or you was trying to buy it a couple
No,
days
I
after?
have been trying. I was trying to. Once I sold it, that money's back to me, right?
So that's what I was trying to get to. So you have to, sometimes brokerage firms, they take a certain amount of time. The money may see, maybe it shows in your account, but to actually use it, it takes a while, right? That's what it is. So you can sell something today and it's going to show in your account, but to actually use it again, it may take a couple of days.
And that's what my question was. Like I was trying to use it again, but it kind of like, and I waited. That's what I thought. It told me something that I had to wait for 3 days for me to use it again. But after 3 days, I noticed that I wasn't able to use it yet. And it kind of gave me like now I don't know where I am. I feel like I'm in a cloud because I just can't use the money again. Or I don't know if I'm just not, I got lost in the app. You know what I mean? That's what the equity, that's what I'm like a little bit confused. What equity is and how is the money just yours and not yours at the same time?
Gotcha. So what I would say for you is definitely call your brokerage, right? To find out what's going on. Because the brokerage, everybody work for the brokerage, they work for you. They need your money. So I would say get them on the line, speak to a rep to find out what's going on, right? But normally whenever you sell, you can't buy it right away. As you know, you have to wait a couple of days. But as you're saying you still having problems. I would say call your brokerage and ask them what's going on.
Another
if
thing,
I want that, if sorry, just one last thing. If I want that money out, how can I do I have to call the brokerage so they can give me the money out?
So the same way you put the money in, you just transfer the money from your account back to your bank. So it's reverse. So you know how you put the money from your bank to the account when you bought Apple, right? You would take the money from your brokerage or your money market account where money's being held until it's used and transfer it back to your bank account that's linked, right? Because you have to link a bank to your brokerage. So you basically transfer the money from your brokerage account back to your bank.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
It is 1:31. We are over time, but I want to thank each and every one of you. A very special thank you to the amazing Jesse Berkoh. I love you, man. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you all for coming. Yes, this is recorded. We will be sending out a link on Monday. So if you are a part of Financial Joy School, we'll send you that link. And like it is free because we believe in helping our people. Have an amazing day. Thank you all so much. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Oh,
Peace and
wait. If you have a question, go to Ask Jesse at Financial Joy School, and we will answer those. He will answer those questions for you.
No problem.
Okay, Jesse. Thank you.
You're welcome.